Wow, welcome back, dear friends. We got some more amazing footage. This literally just came out thanks to my dear friends in Hawaii, Blake and Brent Cousins at Third Phase of the Moon for literally breaking news. If you all remember, when Lou Elizondo went on Joe Rogan, he mentioned that there actually was uh, this craft that was traveling underwater at 550 knots. That is impossible. So, here, why don't you guys watch this? And hold on a second, let's get to it. We'll get to this first, that what you just saw in a second, but I want you to see this USO, unidentified submerged object. That's what we used to call UFOs that went in the water. Now, you could obviously see something at the surface. That is impossible to go. Water is thick. If you all saw John Wick, especially part three, when he is at the Continental Hotel fighting off the guards or the team that's there to execute him, when one falls in the water, if you notice, as he's getting shot at, he backs away because the water can slow down the bullet to the point that it will just fall. That is how much water prevents you from going fast. There is nothing we can make that can go this fast. We can't even get to half of this speed in any way, shape, or form, unless, of course, we're using something like gravity. If this thing is trapped in a gravitational field, aka an Alcubierre warp bubble, the water is not even touching the skin of this craft. That is the only way you could travel in ways we know. And that is just theoretical. Obviously, we're seeing it happen, which means something has this technology. Did we crack this technology? Now, we figured out how it works. Bob Lazar said they knew how it worked before he got to that project in 1989 S4. So we've actually solved the equations for gravity in the 50s. And if you watched a video I posted a few months ago with an interview of these two older ladies that talked about FDR had a crash craft and bodies in the basement of the Capitol building in 1935. So we know at least as early as that did the United States have this technology that they were studying. By the way, I want to give a shout out to another dear friend and viewer, Alexander G, for being so generous with his super thanks. I'm hoping that the rest of you are also inspired to follow in his footsteps and support me. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, keep in mind, he's in Norway. He is my source out there. When things happen in Scandinavia, he's usually the person that I turn to confirm things. As a matter of fact, some stories I brought to you were thanks to him. And now I'm able to confirm that the mysterious fog also occurred in Norway. Now, this is interesting. This looks like a typical cigar shaped craft, things that have been seen for ages. If you all remember that 1561 woodcut depicting a Star Wars that happened over Nuremberg, Germany, 1561. Just Google 1561 UFO Nuremberg. And literally, they had all shapes, whether they were crosses, they were spheres, or they were cigar shaped craft like this. And they were literally battling each other. And then some fell to the earth and were burning up and then just disappeared, like they disintegrated. That actually also happened in Switzerland in the early 1600s. I don't know the exact date of that, but I will get back to you. Now, are we looking at something from the Space Force? But look how massive that is. Now, we don't know the height, right? Now, is that a secondary object that it just passed? Or is that a star that's just flickering? Now, I just assumed it was star, but pay attention as it gets really close by because it possibly looks like it's rotating. Do you see that? That star object looks like it's rotating. We may have be looking at two separate incidents in one frame. That is phenomenal. We have this massive increase in sightings. I reported to you a few months ago that MUFON said they had never had in history this amount of sightings reported. And that has gone up exponentially. And by the way, folks, that was before this mysterious drone stuff started to happen. Also, I've been working with Third Phase of the Moon literally since 2012. I used to work for them. Then I used to host Third Phase of the Moon Radio. And I have posted two of these old radio shows, my first two ever. They views, unfortunately, were very visible. So not very many of you have seen it. And unfortunately, the average view duration was about 17 minutes of a 2-hour interview. So unless you guys want to hear more of them, I won't post them. But I will do so if you ask to, because they took hours to create. Because they were audio interviews done on radio, I put together some amazing eye candy for you to watch in the background. Now, because they're audio interviews, all you have to do is listen to them. You don't have to watch it. So, anyway, if you're interested, I will do so. Also, if you're interested, become a member. I'll make some perks. I will do members only streams. I will also give you guys some footage early that I will not give to others till later. Same thing with interviews. And more importantly, I was going to do what I used to do and bring back call in shows. If you guys are interested in telling your stories, I could probably set up a time and dates where you guys can just join the stream and tell your story. If you're interested, let me know. But I would start with members only. I'm going to fix that members page and make it reasonable. And if you guys show interest, then I will start doing it. Same thing with Mines. Mines is free. It pays you in cryptocurrency. So go to mines.com, find me, Dr. J Radio Live, and I'll start posting there. Because if you use it, it's like Facebook. You just get paid in crypto. Anyway, this is also included. And I actually saw this a couple days ago. I wasn't sure if I was going to post it, but Blake and Brent, the people that gave it to them, said they needed to look at this and post this. This is over Europe, city or country unknown, just Europe. Uh, are we looking at a celestial, not a celestial, a religious event? Is this literally the second coming of Christ coming to announce himself? Or, as I just said, 1561 Nuremberg, one of the shapes that people reported was, of course, a cross. Is that what we're seeing? Is this a UFO, a UAP, whatever you guys want to call it? I'm old school. UFO is what I grew up on, so I revert to that a lot. Now, you've also seen angels in the sky. In this compilation I put up a couple nights ago, I didn't add a portion which showed Jesus in the sky because I didn't want people to. Of course, I got a lot of crap for that one that looked like a cow, which turned up to being a four-legged, probably a dog, is what people are saying, or wolf that was being abducted. I got a lot of crap for that. People were accusing me of all sorts of stuff. And then I get the full unedited footage, and it turns out I was correct in posting it. So I have to be careful with certain things because it's sad how some people just jump the gun and assume something's fake without giving it a chance. But what do you guys think this is? Are we looking at a craft, or is this a religious event? Or the third option, is this Project Bluebeam? Project Bluebeam is the technology where they can beam down holographs to look like whatever they want. And the implication is that they're going to use it to make us think there's going to be an alien invasion. Now, um, what's his name? I'm blanking out. It is one of the, not Robert Oppenheimer, the guy who created the hydrogen bomb. I am blank. Werner von Braun. Werner von Braun. His assistant, Carol Rosen, told me, and this is, she said this multiple times in interviews over the years. And if you want to, I'll bring her back to. But 12 years ago, she said in the interview I did with her that when she was his assistant, he said the final card the government is going to play is a fake alien invasion. Literally, that is what he told her. Now, he was someone who was in the know. Keep in mind, UFOs have always been classified under atomic energy. That's why people with the Q clearance, which at the time was issued to those involved with atomic secrets and bombs, were usually people in the know. Bob Lazar had a Q clearance. So if someone has a Q clearance, there's a chance that they may know something about UFOs, UAPs. But government does not have this technology. This is in private contractors' hands. These congressional hearings will go nowhere. By the way, what you're looking at is in China. What do you guys think we're looking at? I think this is Project Bluebeam. That's actually what Third Phase of Moon also agrees. But could this be a craft? Now, remember, they don't have to be aerodynamic. Now, in China, being a dictator run communist country, remember, in order to be a communist country, you have to have a population that is atheist. That's why they are treating their Uyghur Muslims so terribly. They are erasing religion because in a communist state, the religion says that the state is the God. They're the provider of your shelter, your food, and therefore you must worship them. It's dogma for them. So, what better way to keep them in fear and in check than to use Project Bluebeam to scare them? Is it the United States or another country scaring the people of China? Is this their own tests? I don't know. What do you guys think? But again, Werner von Braun said that they will play that card of the fake alien invasion. What do you guys think is going on? So back to the government hands. The government, there will never be disclosure. Unfortunately, as much as politicians say they're going to get to the bottom of this and release all the information and the files, they don't have anything. They cannot subpoena Lockheed Martin and say, open your hangar, show us what you got. You can't. It's a private company. And that's where the law ends. I don't even think government is involved in crash and retrievals anymore. I know the retrieval they're not involved in because it goes to the co-ops, Texas Instruments, Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. Military used to be involved in picking up the crash debris. I'm not even sure they do it anymore. I think it possibly could even be private contractors now. What better way to keep them out of Freedom of Information Act if they have nothing to do with the government? So that's why there will never be disclosure. The only way it's going to happen is if you, the people, especially you people who are involved in these programs, step forward. And just talking about being in the program is not going to be enough anymore. We want to see more. Steal some wreckage, take some metal with you. Do whatever you can. Bring us something undeniable. Something like Jonathan Reed has. If you check out my interviews with him, he still has that ET bracelet. It's crazy because he literally is disclosure. This is a really interesting video, and I'm glad we're finally here, and I'm glad I wrapped up my thoughts to get here. Now, this is, I think it's, what do they say? Call it Halliston or something, Air Force Base. Never heard of it. Halliston Base. It's basically here in the Mojave Desert in Southern California, not far from Edwards, which is also right by where Lockheed Martin is. At least one of their areas, but there's where they test their stuff. Is this a craft we're looking at? Look at this. Look at that. What are we looking at? I believe this was a couple years ago, and then they're going to go back in time, and you're going to see that it didn't exist a couple years ago. So, did they build? Is that something that's built there? Is it hiding a craft underneath? Is that what? Maybe it's the shape of the craft. Now, here's an interesting story. In 1963, an egg-shaped UFO landed here in Southern California, and the CIA, did everything they can to try to get access. They bombed it with the materials they had then, the blasting materials they had. By the way, this right here is said to be an entrance to underground. Is this where the UFO stuff is stored? Remember, I mentioned co-ops that are owned by these private contractors. Look at this runway. I don't think this is government, actually. When they said base, and I mentioned how close this is to Lockheed, yes, the Mojave Desert is big, but all the stuff that's close to Edwards, obviously, Edwards is a massive Air Force base, and everything in the base is going to be contained within the base. This obviously is not attached to it. So that's why it had the name Halliston or something. Regardless, Is that where the underground stuff is kept? Now back to 1963. So the amazing thing is where this craft landed, the egg, they built a base around it. Yes, they built a base around it. Is this base built in 1963 based on where that egg-shaped craft landed? If it's not this one, it's another one in Southern California. So, what is this that we're looking at? What is this base? What is this? What's hidden under that giant hangar? Is that hangar really the entrance to the deep underground military bunkers? Did you know they're all connected by railway? The entire mainland United States is connected by underground railway, connecting Area 51 to Edwards to everything into Mexico and Canada. I know that exists in Australia. Queen Elizabeth actually funded that. I know it also exists around Europe. Would not be surprised if it's in Scandinavia. I'm sure the Russians and Chinese have their own. Because when you have satellites going up, you got to hide stuff underground and underwater. Let's see this one more time. This is really mind blowing and breaking. Yeah, if you're watching this here for the first time, this is fantastic because I'm literally showing you what was just premiered on Third Phase of the Moon minutes ago. So this is as fast as I can report this to you as possible. And again, shout out to my dear friends Blake and Brent Cousins, who I've worked with a very long time. They're in Hawaii for doing the legwork on this video for sure. I'm just bringing it to you and reacting to it with you. And of course, your comments mean a lot to me. So again, couple things. Do you want old interviews? Let me know. Do you want to do a call-in show where you tell your story? Do you want to do an Ask Me Anything? And should I do something with the memberships? Now, become a member, and I will start giving you pre-release things and something exclusive. And again, super special thanks to Alexander G for his super thanks. And anyone else, if you would like to support me, by all means, I would greatly appreciate your support. Please skip Starbucks for a day. Whatever you can spare, it's all appreciated. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Remember to hit that like button, and I will catch you on the flip side.